So, I was thinking about the sign language interpreting business because Elizabeth is credentialized under RID medical as well, which is a national form of credentializing sign language interpreters. And so she is nationally seen as an interpreter. And then it got me thinking about her husband. So her husband, Robert, is not nationally certified or like in the higher level of experience equal to knowledge, sign language interpreting, not even through the state level. And that's with 29 years of interpreting for deaf people. So what got me thinking about the problem that I'm seeing is that Robert is taking on a remote job. It is a video relay service. And when I learned about and was taught about this video relay service job for interpreters, when I took interpreting classes under Elizabeth and other interpreters at Idaho State University, well, so I got told that some video interpreting businesses, including for sign language, had become much more strict on their visibility because they had to start finding buildings that are in a secret location with no name to the business, and the business itself has to reach you through the okayance of the business employer. So the business employer to give the okayance to, let's say, Elizabeth, because she's the Idaho Sign Language Interpreting Program Director. And so, for teaching purposes, she provides the location to some of her students. That included me. I was in that list that last second year, right before going to my internship in Texas. So she provides the location to that video service, that video relay service for deaf individuals. And so now we have the address, and we have to find the building on our own, and it's still a secret location. And so the reason I'm explaining this is that these places in the year of 2018 were being targeted by individuals that are American citizens and attacking the place of business. So this can be any place of sign language interpreting or English or any other spoken language to provide a form of interpreting services or translation services or captioning services. And so my point here is that Robert is interpreting without being credentialized. Correctly, and has been working for years, under these forms of jobs. And so we as students are told that these locations go under attack. And we need to be careful, including making sure that we provide legal credential level of proof that we are capable of interpreting for those types of jobs. And a part of that is because if it becomes a legal matter, there needs to be proof from the business or the individual, depending on how put together in contract form this business is, and prove that you as the interpreter are qualified to work for a business that is technically under the job title working for government, because it is providing language back and forth from one language to another, including the captioning, the online typing. it's providing that to a client that is a human being. And so Robert is working at a VRS company, and he's making a lot of money. Maybe not as much as Elizabeth because of her level of taking the sign language exam, the American Sign Language interpreting qualification credential title under RID. And, or maybe it's just under sign language terms of qualifying to show that you know how to interpret for deaf people or hard of hearing people. Anyways, so he's working for the business Purple right now, and it's year 2026. And it just worries me to know that providing the incorrect information could cause someone out there to find out about one of the workers' locations, home or business office, and then that person get hurt. Or a group of individuals working for the business to get hurt. And still, it worries me because employees like Robert, who are not qualified to interpret, are making a lot of money. And in this field for interpreting different languages, the community that our clientele find out super easily about interpreting employees, because the interpreters talk about individuals of language community civilian members. And it's not actually illegal under the sign language interpreter employee or employers or someone who practices interpreting for deaf and hard of hearing. They are technically in a state not required to not talk about the client and how much they charged, or how much they made, or what type of conversation was made, the topics, all of that. It's not actually illegal. And me, just in the 2 years of being a student underneath Elizabeth's program director seat, there was so much gossip from her and the community of interpreters she accepted into the program to help us receive higher education, or job examples, or colleague examples. And so within those 2 years, you'd hear gossip, things that were told and weren't or could have been a part of legal cases. And also, talking about or gossiping about past students, and talking about past students that graduated, and the new gossip of them once they went out into the deaf community or the interpreting, hiring community, and tried to achieve a job working status. So, so then you have people like Robert, who is from a different state and met Elizabeth here and there in different states, because Robert is from New York and Elizabeth has lived in Spokane, and other states, and knows some people from Texas. And so they met, and they're newer to Idaho. Both of them are interpreters, and so now you have Robert knowing about and talking about students that have been under Elizabeth's instructions or her program, and or getting to know the ones that found a sort of kind of credential and are sort of kind of credentialized here in Idaho, and their names, because by now they are colleagues, or just another member of the sign language interpreting community under the sign language career field. So, if someone gets hurt because there are clients out there that may receive a message that may be inaccurate, if there's like some form of not good deal, because interpreters have to sign or interpret everything. They have to receive a call and interpret everything. And if they miss something really important, that could cause the person on the other line or the group of people on the other line or the other business side of the interpreting building or administration office or wherever it is, or any one of those people's family members or friend members or someone near them in community distance to get hurt. So it just is concerning that Elizabeth is fine with her husband Robert taking that job and to have their offices together in the same building where they also sleep. And then, so I'm here at their other location on Oregon Street and Gooding Lane, and from time to time you'll have Tobias, her deaf and hard of hearing son, or her husband Robert here on the other side of this camper and just listening in on anything that I'm saying. So like some form of surveillance to catch up on any gossip news that they can take home and start talking about with Elizabeth, Robert, and any of the young adults that she has allowed in her building to stay at and sleep at, because they are her kids' friends. Including friends of her stepdaughter through Robert, Katie. So it's just very concerning. So this is Elizabeth. She has a European last name that I probably can't say very well, but it's like Schniedewind. it's like Schniend. Oh no, Schnee. So Schiewinder. And yeah, so to me it's just concerning and creepy with Robert and his stepson, Tobias, or some other young adult man living with them, to come and go on this property and hear me talking, hear and catch some things that I've said, and then make a really snide remark that is mean towards me, and then go and tell Elizabeth, and then gossip about it at Elizabeth's other property on Main Street. And then even Elizabeth changes attitude towards me and starts becoming snidey too, and angry, and goes into her favoring behavior towards the others, and she's the one to teach all her students to watch out for interpreters in the field. And to analyze and understand their years of work decisions and what the deaf client circle or group or community has said about the interpreter. And most of the Idaho community, deaf community, besides probably Tobias and her other older son, don't like Elizabeth or Robert interpreting. And it's not because they're new here, and the community, the deaf community, is also worried that she's taking all these national tests that are very highly English based for her, because she is a wordy person, but deaf people and deaf culture align differently in language, and some of the tests that Elizabeth takes is based on English sentence structure under English grammar. And then some moments in description that are like 3 seconds long of actual visual description. And the rest is alphabet based. It's like 50% alphabet and then 50% some English sign related sign with that point something 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 decimal form of number to add to the visual part describing how something might look. And then she puts all that in a sentence format. And then she's a qualified sign language interpreter, and she boasts about the government jobs for interpretation that she's had in the past. And a lot of her interpretation is visual translation. So practically what is a sentence that can be put into video, or something that, or like a sentence that is on paper, she interprets that word for word. So visually you see that sentence. And deaf people don't communicate that way. Deaf people communicate in American Sign Language. It is a government approved language, which means that the government in federal terms has the knowledge and other forms of documentation from deaf individuals or other interpreters under sign language, American Sign Language.